Hi everyone. TEDx speakers, according to the official organizational speaker guide, are required to be experts in what they present to you on this stage. Now, if you can't tell by the blatant overenthusiasm and the fact that I'm shaking, being on this stage has been a bucket list item of mine for a very long time. So I wanted to make sure that if I was actually given the opportunity to go through with this, then I was presenting on something that I was super qualified on. Now, I was running through the list of qualities that make me fantastic. You know, obviously being undeniably brilliant, beautiful, charming, charismatic, and of course, humble. But at the end of the day, I found that those were all a little bit too generic to give a TED Talk on. However, digging a little deeper, I remembered I'm born in 2003. As an '03 baby, I can provide expert testimony to you all on no better topic than on my experiences, my lived experiences as a member of Generation Z. Now that we have clarified what an expert I am, you have heard it here, folks, from expert lips. Gen Z is having an identity crisis. Gen Z has absolutely no idea what to do with themselves, and to be fair, who can blame us? We are the first generation to not know a life without the internet, born to be consumers of seemingly infinite information. Now, this means that even if we spent multiple entire lifetimes dedicated to consuming information, we wouldn't be able to do it. Estimates currently sit that there's around 45 billion web pages worth of information on the internet today, and this is a number that's growing by the minute, with every single publication of a new article or a new YouTube comment on this video for those of you guys that are watching me there. This is really overwhelming stuff, at least for me, and I think that it provides a really cool basis as to why we would be freaking out about this in the first place, and can lead to something that I call, and the Cleveland Clinic calls, analysis paralysis. This is the emotional spectrum from excitement to dread that can accompany the feeling of having way too many options presented in front of you. Now, this identity crisis spans every single element of Gen Z pop culture. Let's start with pop culture in the form of personal style. On this campus in the year 2025, I have seen mullets, perms, shaggy bangs, neon spandex, butterfly clips, oversized matching sweat sets, mini skirts, and Ugg boots, all synchronously and exhaustingly hailed as on trend. So if we're using this as a logical basis, tell me, is it the year 1985, the year 2000, 2013? The real answer is that a collective nostalgia for all of these things is what leads into this identity crisis in general and is causing us collectively to freak out. Now, my name is Zarember, and I'm an MBA candidate here. But before that, I also got the opportunity to go here for undergrad. I was a double major in marketing and leadership and consulting, which is a fancy word for organizational behavior and strategy. And I like to think that the combination of those two degrees gave me pretty cool insight into industrial psychology. Why do businesses function, and how do they do it? So I thought that this would be a pretty cool way to take what I've learned in the classroom and to bring it out. This was me sometime between 4 and 7 years ago, depending on what really awkward picture of me you are looking at on the stage and I'm airing out for the entire world to see. When I matriculated to business school, undergraduate, I was an archetypal arts kid. I was the drum major of the marching band, and I played 7 instruments. I was a self-confessed, really, really annoying theater kid. I was the president of the National Art Honor Society, and I knew that when I was coming up with how I wanted to present myself in college, especially coming out of state, you want to get a fresh start, it was really important to figure out the parts of myself that I wanted to market. I am a very chronic overthinker and a super neurotic person. So I knew that the best way of going through this process was in terms of speed running it, and I could find no better place to start than an extrinsic inspiration. So I went around looking for influences as to how I could put my best foot forward in the classroom, in the boardroom, and in anything else that I needed to do. And shockingly enough, a lot of the best examples that I found as to how to market myself were in the way that products and services were marketed to me, beautifully and colorfully sprinkled across my various feeds. One of the most traditional interview questions in, I think, any interview at all is sell me this pen. And very rarely is this taken literally. At least for me, in the hundreds of job interviews that I've done, I have never ever been tasked with actually selling a writing utensil. But that's not what this question is made for, to be taken at face value. It's meant to see if you, as an interviewee, possess the skills to take something mundane and to turn it into something magical with the way you frame it, with your words, with your marketing prowess. And I think that there is a really, really fascinating intersection between people and pens, way more than we give people credit for. Okay, that's a lot. Hear me out. Let's walk through this. Let's say you're given a standard blue ballpoint pen. It can give you a satisfactory writing experience. It can give you an okay writing experience. There's a couple things that that pen can do in order to really, really stand out. You know, be an overachieving pen, an ultra-memorable pen. We can do the same on the job. If we are tasked with only having a specific set of responsibilities, we do what we are asked to and nothing further, that's okay. We function. But there's a part of us, at least in me as a chronic overachiever, that really wants to dig deeper and constantly be exploring ourselves. I think that in terms of figuring out how Gen Z can effectively market themselves, it is important to look at how we market pens, and not just pens, but any product and services, diving deep into our psychological desire to purchase things in order to make ourselves more appealing. Now, there's a couple people that agree with me, and this is actually not one of them. I am the true product of an American upbringing, so I believe everything that I see on TV. And I use it as the basis for everything that I find useful. That is obviously sarcastic. However, I do think that the show Shark Tank is an absolutely perfect example of what it means to give a great sales pitch. Now, not this Kevin Shark, actually this Kevin Shark, this is Kevin Harrington. He wrote an epic article in Forbes in 2013 where he walked through the 10 qualities that he believed every successful product should have in order for it to continue to find success well after it's been launched into the marketplace. And I thought that there was a lot of transferable value in the questions that Kevin Harrington, very Jeopardy style, laid out in his article as to how we can market ourselves better as people. Let's walk through them in a rainbow. Number 1, does it have unique features? Let's transfer this to us. What is it about you that's unique? What do you bring to the table that others don't? What do you want people to know that you bring to the table? Number 2, does it have mass appeal? Are you liked by many? And do you aspire to be? Number 3, does it solve a problem? Can you give a summary of the role that you are trying to accomplish? What types of roles do you play? Do you have short and long-term goals that you aspire to? Number 4, is there a powerful offer with a supportive cost of goods? This is the one that I think is a bit tough to try to connect the dots, but here's my take. Are you giving enough of your time and enough of your resources to fostering the relationships that you're trying to connect with people? Are you an accessible person from an emotional and a resource standpoint? Number 5, can you easily explain how it works? For me, the answer to this question is almost none of the time. But when it comes to this, can you give a summary of yourself? Who are you on paper? What do you value? What are the 3 things that if someone has a conversation with you, you want them to remember about the way that you operate? Number 6, is there a magical transformation or a demo? What is something that you're doing to work on yourself right now? Is this apparent, or do you kind of have to dig for it? Number 7, is it multifunctional? Would you consider yourself a well-rounded human being? Do you normally just associate with one group of people, or do you try to branch out and explore diverse viewpoints? Number 8, is it credible? Are there testimonials? When it comes down to it, who will vouch for you? Who will stand up and say, this person is fantastic and here's why? Do you have advocates? Where do they sit? And how do you treat them? Number 9, are there proven results? What have you accomplished? What makes you proud of you? What makes others proud of you? Is there a discrepancy in those two things? And number 10, can you answer questions that the viewer is thinking? Are you one step ahead? Are you trying to understand who you are from the outside in? Now, that's just one of a couple different resource frameworks that I think can truly be applied to personal branding from the product marketing side. Kevin argues that at the end of that 10th framework there, that every single inventor should be able to confidently answer all 10 questions. And I truly believe that if you perform an internal audit, you sit down and really take stock of those 10 questions and figure out where you sit with each of them, it can do wonders in the way that you present yourself to others. But let's move into a different example. We use the VRIO framework in strategic management, and this is meant to decipher competitive advantage. So this asks us to evaluate where an organization sits and 4 key criteria. Number 1, is the offering, the product or service that's being delivered, valuable? Is it rare enough that it's not a beyond oversaturated market that wouldn't really make sense to enter? Is it inimitable in the sense that someone can't come in and do the exact same thing that you're doing? Think protecting yourself with intellectual property. And then, is it organized to exploit? And I don't like the word exploit there, but is it organized to do really cool things? I think is a better way to put it. Now, once again, we can apply this framework to ourselves when it comes to making ourselves the best people we can be. What is your competitive advantage? What is your VRIO analysis? Is what you bring to the table valuable? Do people notice when you're not in the room? Do you have awesome things to be saying? Is what you provide rare? Do you have a special skill, whether it be an awesome party trick or proficiency in a professional capacity, that's really cool and people appreciate? Is it inimitable? Are you your own person that someone can't swoop in and be you? Hopefully not, unless you're an identical twin. You should be the only version of you. And is it organized? Do you have the processes in place so that once those first 3 are established, you can go out and be the best version of yourself? Food for thought. Now, I've been spending a lot of time talking about other people's frameworks and how I can apply them, but this next slide, if I can get to it, is going to focus a lot more on 5 key interests that I've identified in what makes people bite when it comes to whether they're willing to consume a product or a service. What attracts people? 5 key points here, once again in a rainbow. Hope y'all are enjoying that as much as I am. Number 1, quality. Is what you bring to the table good work? If you're constantly underachieving, doing the bare minimum, not double checking what you're putting out into the world, what impression does that have on other people? How can you let that impact your reputation? Going at it from the other perspective, if you're constantly on top of the ball, one step ahead, and prove yourself to be reliable in the workplace, won't people want to work with you a lot more? Number 2, the aesthetics. This one's a bit convoluted because I think that most people think that if you're going to be dressing for the role that you want to accomplish, you can't really have fun with it, and that's absolutely not true. I have sparkles on my cuffs. This is awesome stuff here, and everyone can start to integrate different pieces of their personal brand into the way that you express yourself. And that goes for the plain clothes that you would wear to class or the clothes that you would wear to an office in a really cool business meeting. I like to make sure that in every outfit that I put together, whether it's for the grocery store or for work, there's at least one piece there, whether it be a fun pair of shoes, an accessory, a glitter headband, or anything that I'm wearing that really shows my personality while being appropriate. Number 3 is measured success. People like things when they know that they work. People like reliability, and people like having positive opinions of others. If people were to ask your network to talk about you and nobody had anything extraordinary to say, what does that say about what they're going to think of you before they even meet you? When we think about this in the product capacity, especially when it comes to case competitions in the business world, we talk a lot about key performance indicator. How can you measure success? And there's two keys to this. You want to have a value that you're aiming for, and you want to have a timeline by when that's going to be accomplished. Set those timelines for yourself and regularly check in to make sure that you're meeting your progress. When we're constantly pushing forward personally and professionally, we often neglect to check in on ourselves because it's not a graded assignment. It's not something that gets submitted to your boss. It's all about taking inventory of you. Number 4 is functionality. Does it work? Do you function? Are you taking care of yourself well enough that you can be a functioning human being that can enjoy all of everything that you've got going on? If for some reason the answer is no, what are different steps that you can be taking in order to make sure that you're more present in your daily interactions? And number 5 is branding, which hopefully after this incredibly insightful presentation, you all are a little bit more confident in. But what image can you put into the world where people will think of you? If I've done my job right, if people see rainbow, if people see purple, if people see sparkles, or if people see blatant overenthusiasm at the most trivial things, I've gotten texts from people in my life saying, that's you. And I love that. Find what that is for you and try to make sure that those are the vibes that you are putting out into the world. We're going to end with one final example of a different framework that I am reapplying. And this is the golden circle, which I think from the TED Talk perspective is pretty meta because this is one of my favorite TED Talks and I thought it would be really cool to reference here. The golden circle is a framework in management coined by author, YouTuber, and fellow TED Talker Simon Sinek, and this is meant to describe the way that businesses operate. Everyone knows what they do. Fewer people, but many, know how they do it. And even fewer people know why they do it. And these concentric circles explain all of the different ways that an organization can really find itself fundamentally. We want to get to the why because the best leaders start with the why and move outwards. If your organization has values, this is evident, and it makes people want to purchase from you. I think that the golden circle is A, super awesome, and B, super applicable when it comes to this conversation. Because I think that not only does it encourage each of us to find our own why and lead with our why foot forward, it also helps to explain the different types of relationships you might want to pursue with somebody, depending on what you care about in this framework. If you are only focused on the what, and you don't necessarily care how someone does something or why someone does something, you have probably pursued and will continue pursuing a superficial relationship with that person. Like someone at the grocery store. You know what they're doing. You don't necessarily care how or why. Teachers and mentors are where it's great to focus on the how. What they're doing might not make sense in the moment. Why they're doing might not be apparent in the moment, but the how is what teaches you to be a better person. And lastly, focusing on the why is what leads to your deep relationships. Even if you're not doing it yet, if you want to pursue a deep relationship with someone, be it platonic, romantic, or otherwise, the best place to start is by keeping that why at the top of mind. Why someone does something might not always make sense to you, but if you can understand it, it will prove so valuable in your quest to get to know that person better. I couldn't think of any better way to end this than by talking about my own pen, which is also not working. Here it is. That's my pen. My pen is purple and sparkly on the inside and out. It is a functional writing utensil. It is high quality. It is very thoughtfully put together, and it can lend itself really well to signing a check or in an art capacity. Even with its purple sparkliness. It's helpful wherever it needs to be, and it's loved and appreciated by many. But the reason that the Sarah pen is loved and appreciated by many isn't because someone just told me when I was formulating this product, this brand, that I should just be myself. It's because I took the effort, I took the incentive to go and try to do these internal audits for myself, figure out what mattered to me, figure out how I do things, and most importantly, get to my why. What is the type of person I want to be seen as? I'm very curious to see what you all think the answer to that is. But for me, I do everything for the people that I do it with. And getting to that why has been fundamental in understanding everything. So with that being said, I think that the real solution to the Gen Z identity crisis is not in blanketly inspiring people to just be themselves and blanketly pushing general uniqueness. It's in encouraging us all to find our inner pens in order to figure out that perfect balance of what superficially and intimately matters to us and put our best feet forward. Thank you so much.